Hi, everyone. I wanted to get on this video and start to talk to you a little bit about client management expectations as we are starting off this week with meeting with me, talking about moving forward with this project, but more importantly, you're meeting with your clients on Thursday. So, what do you need to do to set yourself up for success? Okay, so we are going to be talking about this. Remember, one of the things is, and I love this quote by Teddy Roosevelt, people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think that is something that really comes through in a client meeting is how much time have you put into this? How much do you care about the project? How much do you care about that person's company and their clients? And that comes through with the type of questions you ask, how you set up for these meetings, and also the research that you do for them. All right, let's talk a little bit about client communication expectations. This is really important, okay? Because you are a group of 4 or 5, we can't have everyone talking all at once. So, a couple things that I really want you to take into consideration as you set up for your first client meeting and as you have at least 2 more with your client before your final presentation. You really want to make sure you know who is speaking in that meeting. My suggestion is just to have one person be the main point of contact. Ask also your client, what's the best way to communicate with you? Right now, we are making an assumption that email is the best way, and we are going to do our main communication through email, but they may have another suggestion on how to connect with them and what they feel comfortable with. The very first thing that you need to do is you need to be clear on the number of meetings that we're having moving forward and setting the stage ahead of time. Okay, so our first meeting is this week, and this week you are just doing a quick question and answer, just asking a little bit more information. But we need to be clear with them on what that's going to look like. So, what do they need to bring? What do they need to be ready for? Or what do they need to be ready for as it relates to providing feedback? A lot of people like information ahead of time so they're able to process it and give you insightful feedback. So make sure that you're giving your clients what they need so that you can get what you need to move this project forward. All right. The biggest thing that I see that a lot of people don't do is come prepared to these meetings. And you want to do your research ahead of time. You want to understand your clients. But more importantly, you also want to set up an agenda and be very clear based on the time that you have what you're going to do in that time. So if you only have 15 minutes, you want to be very clear on the 1 or 2 things that you're going to do in that meeting. If you have a half an hour, maybe you have questions and you want to get their feedback and you're going to show them something. Again, be very clear ahead of time. Create an agenda and also follow up afterwards with your client. The biggest thing is don't waste their time. If you only need 5 minutes, take 5 minutes. If you only need 10 minutes, take 10 minutes, okay? Make sure that you never go over time. And if you are under, no problem. Just be very clear on what you're going to follow up with. So a couple things of communication do's, all right? So no matter when you're meeting with your client or even if this is in an email, establish the purpose of this meeting. We are all here together because we are doing a fact finding. We're going to ask you 10 questions today. This is how it's going to go. Okay, be very clear on the objective or the purpose of this meeting. Be very clear in your response time. When you wrap up your meeting or you owe them a deliverable, you want to say that you're going to get this back to them within 24 hours. Or you have to do 3 things, but you are going to reach out to them next week to ask them this follow-up question. Okay, be very clear on what those look like and also ask them. If you need something of them, be very clear, like how long is this going to take them, okay? Are they able to get this back to you by Friday? Okay? Be clear on desired outcomes that you and your client both want. Of course, be professional, kind, and respectful in your responses. Make sure that you are using proper grammar, that you have hellos and thank yous, right? Use a signature. Be very clear on what that looks like. You really should not be contacting your client too much outside of your client meetings, but if you do, the maximum should be once a week, and again, it has to be purposeful. If you can wait till the next time you meet with the client and it's not going to hinder your progression of your progress, then do so. If it is and you need to connect with them, then obviously please do, but make sure you're CCing your professor in all your communications. So a lot of times I think people question, like, what is an agenda? What should that look like? And this is a great outline of an updated meeting agenda. You want to kind of talk about where you are in the project right now. If you have a budget or there are scope updates, like where you're really honed in on the problem, that's great. Talk about the discussion. What are we going to discuss? What are our to-dos to talk about? And you want to talk about, as you come to conclusions in your meeting, what are the agreed upon next steps, and recap those at the very end. So this is a great template to use for your very first meeting agenda. The next thing I want to talk about is you send your agenda always ahead of time to your client, and you also want to establish it in your first meeting. So you're going to have your agenda with you. Again, you're going to talk about and set up the stage of your meeting. You're going to say, be very clear on the objective of this meeting. We're meeting today to do what? We're meeting to do some fact finding. We're meeting today to show you a prototype of our idea, right? Be very clear on what we're doing and what you want to get out of this meeting. Of course, do any research you need ahead of time so you're prepared for the meeting. Bring the agenda so that you're crossing off items, making sure people know who's talking. Make sure someone in your group is taking notes. These meetings are not going to be recorded, so you do want to make sure that you're getting all the information you need. You're taking great notes. So have one or two people doing that. You want to come prepared with questions and knowing how you want to steer the conversation. And when you do start the meeting, you really want to say, hi, great to see you, but have a great introduction to the meeting, right? Get to know the client, but you don't want to be wasting too much time. So again, stay on time. You want to start it, you want to end it. You never want to go over, no matter what. Okay, even if you have two more questions that are burning and you realize that you have run out of time, you don't ask those questions. You just say, thank you so much for your time, and you move on. You always are going to conclude with what you are going to be looking at and what you're going to be following through with and when the next time you're going to be meeting, okay? Now, after the meeting, I always say the best practice is usually to follow up with a response, summarizing what you talked about, summarizing deliverables, saying if there's any information that you need to get back to them, when you're going to get back to them. Again, be clear and concise. I always say being clear is being kind. The more clear you are, the more kind you are to your clients, okay? It means that everyone's always on the same page. There's no false expectations, something to really consider and think of. Of course, you want to provide CC your professor on all your emails, and you also want to make sure that you have a gentle follow-up. Let's say you're waiting for your client to, follow up with you, and they haven't. Feel free to send them just a nice, gentle reminder. Just that, oh, hi, I know things are busy, hoping you can send me the blank, blank, blank in the next day. Let me know if that's a problem. If you still don't hear from your client, then please connect with me and I can reach out to the client on your behalf. All right, I hope you enjoyed today's topic, and let's prepare for what is going to be next, okay? You've got this. Put these great communication suggestions in play for a fantastic first client meeting.